afternoon. I'm Simon Robinson, the Executive Editor at Reuters, and this panel will look at a Reuters investigative series that we've done over the last year called Slaughter in Sudan, which was the winner of the Overseas Press Club of America Award for continuing coverage of conflict. The team that investigated what was going on in Sudan spent months on the Chad-Sudan border, interviewing, filming, and photographing over 300 survivors of ethnic bloodletting that is spearheaded by the RSF paramilitary group and Arab militias in Darfur. And we're really lucky today to be joined by three of that team, who, first of all, Maggie Michel, who's joining us from Cairo via video link. Maggie was the lead reporter on the series and is a former Pulitzer winner. We also have senior photographer Zohra Bensemra, who is joining us on stage. Zohra is based in Dakar in Senegal, and also Ryan McNeill from the Reuters Global Data Team. So we're going to be looking at how we investigated this story from multiple different angles. Maggie, I want to begin with you and just to ask, what's the latest from Sudan? Because the conflict continues, and I'm just interested in even, what's going on this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a year since the war started in Sudan, when the paramilitary rapid support forces fought the army in the capital, Khartoum. Now Sudan is the largest displacement crisis in the world. Out of its 49 million people, there are 5 million who are one step from famine. So right now, famine is on the way. It's happening. And the humanitarian relief is unable to reach the people because of many impediments. This is a man-made starvation campaign by mainly the RSF and then the military. We have seen during our last visit to Sudan, people taking extreme measures, eating tree leaves, sometimes cats, and farmers eating their seeds that are supposed to plant. Right now, there is communication blackouts. No one can really, it's very hard to call people and to really understand what's happening. So what we're seeing from outside is the tip of the iceberg.
One of the things that really strikes you about the reporting that you all did is the fact that we didn't get great access. We couldn't get into Sudan, in fact, all of last year. So how do you report a story when you're not there?
Yes, last year we went to Chad, where 500,000 people from the city of Genina, from West Darfur, ran to. So they took shelter in Chad, and we have so many survivors, and these people are carrying their testimonies. So we collected as many testimonies as possible, dozens and dozens. We relied on also handwritten diaries, satellite images, videos, though videos are very hard to find because the RSF collected and confiscated phones from everybody. But there were few of them posted on social media, showing massive number of people fleeing Genina in mid-June last year. So these testimonies were very important because we could establish systematic targeting of the Muslim people, especially men, especially young and babies even. And there was one important image that we got from survivors. It was showing a main cemetery called Al-Ghabat in Genina. And that gave us evidence of how the cemetery was expanding over time while the killings were happening. People told us that the families were burying their dead at night to escape sniper fire. So Genina, the picture was very important evidence.
I covered Darfur in 2004, and at the time there was really no such thing as a smartphone. So despite the blackout that the government has imposed, and despite the fact that a lot of the phones are being confiscated, you are still able to get a lot of information out.
That was thanks to the people of the the Sudanese people who fled, and they were very they understood what we were trying to do. They opened up and they shared everything they have. It was very hard to put together the story because of the volume of the material we collected. Especially, there are many events, there are many locations, things happening at to different people at different times. So I think what happened is that we drew out and mapped the story itself. With characters and dates and locations. Sometimes there were difficulties even inside the refugee camps to talk to people on phones. And I remember with my colleague, Al-Taib Sadiq, we asked a Masalit community leader to drive with a megaphone and call on the women to come out and meet us and talk about their kids.
Okay. Ryan, let me bring you in. So you're sitting... Maggie's in Chad, Zohra's in Chad on the border, people are coming across the border. You're sitting in London 5,000 miles away at your desk, you're a data journalist. Share some of the work that you undertook that gave us a great, a much deeper understanding of what was going on.
Yeah, one of the challenges of reporting on a crisis like this is there's not a lot of great data. But one thing we do have are satellite images often, that can at least give us some sort of insight into, what was happening on the ground, at least at certain points in time. And we can also use it to establish timelines on attacks and things like that. But, ultimately I'm a generalist, right? And I spent the last half of the year working on a series about zoonotic spillover, and next thing you know, working on Sudan. I don't speak Arabic. I've never been to Sudan. So it's really critical when you have an effort like that is to have people like Maggie and Zohra and Al-Taib and I think that's what's really great about Reuters is we have somebody everywhere that can help kind of match the data up to the ground. And so, the way it was working is that Maggie would hear about tips, and she would send me. I mean, it's amazing. She would send some local leader in a remote town would send a picture from the ground with some metadata that had the latitude and longitude, and then we could go and get satellite imagery and see if we could find it.
So I think we have at least one of the satellite images which we will show that was in one of our investigations. Just tell us this is Abu Zor IDP camp, internally displaced people camp. What's going on here?
Yeah, so I think there's one good point to make about this is to note the resolution of the imagery. And in fact, it's probably not as great since it's blown up on the screen, but if you show the after picture, so you can see that this was targeted destruction. And if we have the next image really quick.
So this is, just to be sure, this is an IDP camp, people who are already displaced, and now the camp has essentially been wiped away.
Yes. And, one of the things, I'm from Oklahoma where we had tornadoes growing up, right? And, there's a famous picture of a May 3rd, 99 storm that blew through, and everything in the middle was wiped out, and the structures on the side were still standing. I saw that's what this reminded me of. There was a whole neighborhood north of the cemetery that Maggie was talking about that was completely wiped out. And to me, it showed the targeted nature of what they were doing, because you could see this neighborhood just like this, and then up toward the wadi, and it was just wiped out, but everything on either side was left. And I don't know if they have the other image, but you can kind of see that effect where, because it's zoomed out a little bit, that shows, just how targeted it was.
Right.
That other buildings were left standing, other sites like this were wiped out.
Right. Zohra, let's move to you. Around 9 million people are moving inside Sudan, people who have been displaced by the conflict. Many have ended up crossing the border into places like Chad, and you spent a lot of time in refugee camps. Tell us about what that was like, and we're also going to see some of your photos, so you can talk us through those. This one, for instance.
This one, it was during my first assignment in Chad. I covered Darfur from inside for long years, like in 2004, 2005, 2006. But people were mostly internally displaced. But this war, this conflict, made them cross the border. So the first refugee camps, they were like 2 hours from Adri town, or 3 hours. So when you see people crossing the border and carrying what they have, the most important, let's say, or maybe the most expensive, which was like just like a blanket, or it's not like things that expensive, but for them it's really important because they know, I mean, obviously this is my feeling, they know they're not coming back so soon because the conflict has been happening for long years and is coming back all the time. So this time it looks like worse than the previous conflict.
So what's going on in this photo? This is someone's tent, essentially.
This one it was at like 3 hours from Adre. People, they cross in the morning, very early morning. So as you see, it's not like tent, like we know about refugee camps. So all the makeshift shelters, and they have nothing, no food, no water, nothing. So
we have a photo, I think, as well of a Sudanese man who has been injured, I guess, during an attack.
Yeah, this one is really make us, I think, cry, all of us, because when we interviewed him, he was sitting in Adri. This is for during the second trip, and we were sitting with him because we needed to have people that are talking the Arab, they're killing them, they force them to leave, but we need to talk to people and listen to them. This is what we did with Maggie. I mean, she was amazing because she interviewed a lot. I mean, she was very calm and keep interviewing people and questioning the same question, and to make sure we have the right information. So this man, Abdul Azim, he was flying up. So he was in his way to Chad when he met militia people. The first, they shot him in his side, and then they left him on the ground. The next day, another group came and they shot him in his shoulder.
Oh.
And the third day, I mean, they left him there. So the third day, another group, militia, shot him on his leg. So he was left almost dead. So, and I started yelling and he like pointed his forehead, and then I said, "Please kill me. I don't want to leave because for him he's dying. So please kill me." So because what he was shot like during 3 days, like everyone shot him in some place, so he was almost died. So he wanted to die anyway.
Maggie, these stories, the story of that man, the story of women who are abused or raped, are incredibly difficult to document. What stood out in the investigation as you reported it out?
We tried to get people to open up and express their feelings, and one of the ways we try to do that is ask them to draw what happened to them or how they feel. So in the story you'll find 2 sketches and drawings, one by an activist, Muhammad al-Hajj. He was captured. So this picture, this one is by actually a nurse. She was raped over several days, gang raped. And I was asking her, how do you feel about this? And she simply drew this sad face. There was another drawings for another activist who was arrested by RSF and dumped into the valley, and had his hands tied behind his back, and had an Arab woman who actually rescued him, and he drew the valley and himself inside. So it's just a way of trying to show how they felt about it.
It's incredibly powerful. Zohra, you photographed some women who had crossed into Chad who had been raped. that it must be incredibly harrowing to do that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm a woman, so, and then every conflict, the first victim is a woman. So, I mean, easy one, let's say, because it's very easy to hurt a woman anyway. What is difficult is to make them talk about because we know, all women know that if you're raped, how you feel. Like, it's really, really painful and it's really deep. So, and make the women talk about what happened to them, and because we needed to be sure and question them. I'm angry when I photograph this kind of stories, like about rape, or I'm always angry when I cover a conflict, because it's about human being, but particularly when you talk about rape women, I feel angry because I can't do anything. So just try my best, don't be heavy on that person, because I want to shoot pictures, but I don't want to let the person feel that I'm abusing her again, because this is important. When you photograph a rape woman, you have really to think twice before you take the camera and you shoot. So you wait the moment and you respect, of course, their feeling, you respect their, because it's about their privacy. They're telling us about privacy, it's really private, and we are going to spread it around, right? So you need really to think twice before you take the camera. Even you take the camera, you need to be careful that you are not giving any specific information that we can find that person, because,
of course,
as you know, everywhere when it comes to rape, and particularly in our society, when you are raped women and you get pregnant, this one, for example, she's a mother. They came to her house. They set ablaze his house, and she could flee with her mother and daughter, but her father was killed. She knew about him; he was killed. Her uncle told her, and then she came back with her mother to try to pick up stuff from what she could take. So the militia guys followed them inside the house, and they put them on the ground and kneel in the ground, and they wanted to kill them, both of them, and then they took the women inside the house and they start raping her. So I'm just I don't want to
the tales are just terrible. We've got to wrap it up, unfortunately. We could talk a long time. It's an incredible series. I really encourage everyone to read it if you haven't. I think it shows that at a time when the world is looking a lot at Ukraine and at Gaza, Israel, there are other conflicts, and there is incredible value, journalistic value, in pursuing those things. So Maggie, Ryan, Zohra, thank you very much. And I've got one quick public service announcement. The program after the break, I think we go to a break now, the program after the break with Iraqi journalist Haith Abdul Ahad is not taking place now because, unfortunately, of visa issues. So just to let you know that. Thank you.